here to honor black men. I want to honor the men that I came from and the men that I actually created from my own body. So, my grandfather, he was a hell of a man. He served in the military. He was a veteran. He was a mean son of a gun, but he raised his children. Every one of his children went to college and graduated. Some of them became business owners. They owned homes. They raised their children. You know, he created my mother, who is a very strong black woman. I'll tell you a little bit about her later in the show. And, you know, my great-grandfather, he was a carpenter. He built every house that our family owned. He built a whole apartment complex with his bare hand, 2-story houses, and he could carve. I wish I had pictures of the things that he could carve, because he would carve things so beautiful, you would just stand there and stare in awe, because it didn't even seem humanly possible to make something that magnificent. So these were talented men who grew up in very difficult times. They didn't have civil rights when they were young. In fact, my great uncle, you can Google him if you wish, is in the history books, because when the Freedom Riders and all of the boycotting was going on, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my uncle, they lived in Louisiana. My uncle was named Ernest Garner, all right, and they decided to go and do the sit-in. So if you Google Garner versus Louisiana, you're gonna see my family, because he was the case that desegregated lunch counters in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a beautiful thing, to have people that are willing to put their lives on the line for what they believe in, you know, to not just speak it, but live it. And so my uncles and you know, my grandfather, they both went to jail during the Civil Rights Movement. And like I said, you can Google Garner versus Louisiana and see that Thurgood Marshall, another great black man, argued that case in front of the Supreme Court and desegregated those lunch counters. And, you know, my father left home at 16 because his dad was in the military going overseas, and he said, I don't want to go overseas. I know I can make it on my own. And he left home at 16, and he worked ever since. And, you know, he passed 5 years ago, but, you know, he told me, you won't have to be twice as good as these white people to get half as much, so just be twice as good. And don't whine and cry about it, just do it. You know, he didn't accept excuses. He expected A's and homework done and the house clean, and, you know, he didn't accept excuses, because he was like, I left home at 16, ain't no damn excuses in my house. If I could do it at 16, if I could work and go to school on my own, no parents, and I didn't do anything illegal for it, then there are no excuses in my house. You do what you need to do, and you do it the right way, and that is what I expect. And he was a hard man to please, but I am grateful to him. I'm grateful to my grandfather. I'm grateful to my uncles. I'm grateful to these men, because they were men of character. They had their flaws. They were not perfect. Nobody is. But they stood for what they believed in, and they believed in family. They believed in black community. They believed in entrepreneurship. They believed in saving money, buying land, building something that was worth having. And so, you know, when I look at the legacy that they left, I'm very, very honored and grateful. And my sons, you know, they've had their struggles, but this young man that's sitting over here, you know, I'll do a poem later about fatherhood. He decided to become a father when he was in high school, not biologically, but he had a friend who had a baby, and he said, that child doesn't have a father, and I'm gonna fill that role. And he was 14 years old. And he was like, if I got some extra money, I'm giving it to her, because she's got a baby. You know, if I've got, if I can help out in any way, right, I'm giving it to her, because she's got a baby. And that father is doing nothing for his child. So I know what it's like to be without a father. And I don't want my friend's daughter to ever feel like she's without a father. So at 14, he decided to be somebody's daddy. That wasn't his biological child. And I'm looking at my child like, are you crazy? But then on the other hand, I'm thinking, damn, we got grown ass men that won't take care of those kids. And my son at 14 said, this little baby needs a father. I don't know much, but I know more than she does. At 4 months, he's got her name tattooed on the inside of his arm. And how old is she now?
She's 9 years old.
She's 9 years old, and he's been in her life ever since, every single day of her life. So, we do have some amazing black men who make amazing choices, who don't care about the sacrifice. Because I'm going to tell you, when you're a teenager trying to help another teenager, or when you're a young man without a lot of resources, you sacrificing to help out. My son knows about sacrifice. He knows about sacrifice because he didn't want that baby to go without. You know, he knows about forgiving her mother, because there were times when I said to him, her mother is crazy. Leave her alone. I know you love the child, but her mother is crazy. Leave her alone. And he said, Mama, I can't leave that little girl. That's my baby. I will be in her life, even though her mama's crazy. I agree, Mama, your mama's crazy. But we gonna make it work. And they have. And so I wanted to bring up another person that I met. You know, you meet people through the course of your life, and they kind of touch you, they impact you. So when I came up with the idea for this whole thing, Nipsey Hussle had just been killed and murdered. And it hurt my soul so badly. Because when I looked at him, I didn't just see him, I saw my son. Because my son was shot and he lived. And I was so hurt that somebody was taken from our community, but I was so hurt also that we chose to honor this man when he was dead and gone. And he couldn't experience it. And I said, you know what? I want to honor the black men that are around us now, the ones that are making an impact now. And so when I came up with the categories of artist and entrepreneur and, you know, educator, there was another category, and it was basically community service activist, somebody who's doing something in the community. And not one nomination came in for that category, and that pissed me off. We do have black men out there in the community doing things, you know, working for causes, and not one nomination came in. And I'm running the contest. I can't nominate anybody. I gotta recuse myself. But I'm sitting there thinking, damn it, you know, why didn't one nomination come in? Not one person. You know, and that bothered me. And so I just felt like that was just ridiculous, and it was just inexcusable. And so I want to bring up this gentleman because I decided he had touched my life. I've seen him every time I go out networking. It seems like he's there at the Shrine, at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. He's running different outreaches to people with records and saying, hey, you can get your record expunged. There are people who will help you. There are people who give you education. There are job training services. You know, you can come back from incarceration. You can come back from, you know, having a charge on you. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. And he's written books, and he speaks, and he's everywhere. And so I wanted to bring him up. So I want you guys to put your hands together for Sean Evans. Come on up here.
Bitches in my section, having all this money, I'm obsessed.
And this says 2019 Laughs and Lyrics Luminous Activist. So I'm giving this to him. You see the stars above his head. He's reaching for the stars, and he is trying to make a difference in our community, and so I wanted to give this to him.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to say whatever he wants.
First, I just like to say thank you for the award. You know, it's been a battle, you know, just walking and fighting for people who don't know how to fight for themselves, just trying to bring people together and organize so that we can make changes for people that, you know, need change in certain areas that don't know who to talk to, you know, or don't know where to go to create the change that they need. And like I said, it's a battle. It seems like a never-ending battle, but I know one day it can be won, and I will not take my boxing gloves off, and I will continue to fight until there is no more fighting. And once again, I just like to say thank you. You know what? I'm sorry, just one more thing. I want to tell you a little bit about my organization. It's called Pure Justice. My organization, like Zen was telling you, it deals with post-conviction relief services. So we do assist people with case reviews. That means we look into your case just to see what options you have available, see if you do qualify for things like expungements or get your record sealed. I was sucked into the judicial system when I was 17 years old behind a false accusation with no support system, and I went to court alone. You know, no family, no friends, no nothing. I really thought that I could do it alone, but I was sadly mistaken. And I signed a plea deal, and that plea deal that I signed, it will haunt me for the rest of my life. I will never be able to get my record sealed. I would never be able to get my record expunged, and I don't want to see anybody else go through the pain that I went through behind something that I shouldn't even have been in the courtroom for in the first place. So this is where the fight began, because if I had just maybe a little extra support, just an additional hand, maybe things would have been different for me. So I want to be the additional hand for people who don't have a hand through the organization of Pure Justice. So you all, if you do Instagram, follow our Instagram page at Pure Justice. Facebook is also Pure Justice. And if you YouTube, you can actually YouTube through my life. If you type in Roshan's Journey, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I can take you through some of the obstacles that I still have right now today. Even though, you know, people say you cannot do something for somebody else until you get everything straight for yourself. And I think that's a cop-out, you know, because we always will have issues. We will always have problems. And just because we are going through something do not mean we cannot reach back and pull somebody up with us as we're going through whatever we're going through. So whatever you have, whatever you're going through in your life, I just want to say continue to reach back, continue to pull people up, and continue to let people stand on your shoulders no matter what you're going through. Follow my journey on Roshan's Journey at YouTube, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Pure Justice. And once again, thank you again, Zen.
So I said I was going to do a piece, and then I came up here and I started talking about everything else, and I didn't do it, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. So when people hear my name, what do you guys think is the first thing they say?
Are you peaceful?
Zen Peace.
Zen Peace. Okay, okay. So I wrote this poem because I wanted to kind of explain my name to people, so I'll do it for you. My name is Zen Ase, and I will now unfold the story behind that name and the lessons that it holds. 20 years ago, I worked my way through college ed, waitressing. I paid the bills. 3 jobs in all. I bled. A day arrived so full of strife, coworkers craved the pill that kept a smile upon my face when they all wanted to kill. What are you on? The and gives you rest. I need some of your Zen Ase stressed. I smile and just confess my faith is all I need. Fast forward 10 and once again a day arrived with rage, and in the midst of chaos others marveled at my grace. Hung around, embraced my calm, my total centeredness. Again they intone Zen you be, but I did not see that in me until I embraced my destiny. I had to give in. It took me 20 years to see the purpose of my life, to calm and soothe and to inspire, to dim effects of strife. Ashe came next, a word that means so be it, like amen. Yoruba in origin, it bonds me to lost kin, yet deeper still like Shelah written in the Psalms. It means be still and meditate on what you read, ponder,